about 1999, helping you do what you need to do to help prepare for that next phase of life. Visit estateplanningpeople.com or connect with Dan at their office in Brookfield. They've got offices in Madison and in Oregon as well. It's Krause Estate Planning.
Craft your Brewers mini plan for the 2025 season, featuring all new 6-packs and 12-packs. Get in on the action with great ticket rates, marquee matchups, and priority seating. Plus, you'll get a limited edition Brewers Crowler with each 12-pack or pair of 6-packs. Looking to customize your games to fit your schedule? Build your own ticket plan options are also available. Pick the plan for you at brewers.com/ticket finder.
Libby Collins here from my friends at Seniors Helping Seniors of Waukesha. They know maintaining independence is one of the greatest concerns for seniors, and that's why for over a decade, they've been serving southeastern Wisconsin, offering personalized in-home care to fit each senior's unique needs. From help with daily tasks like bathing, meal prep, and transportation, to companionship and light housekeeping, caregivers make it possible for seniors to stay in the homes they love without a contract. Interested in becoming a caregiver? Contact Seniors Helping Seniors today. shswaukesha.com.
Cloudy today and a high of about 55 degrees. Overnight low will be in the 40s. Tomorrow the sun comes back and a high of 58. Could hit 60 with sun on Saturday. 50 degrees and cloudy in Milwaukee at 11:15. Wisconsin's Midday News, Wednesday edition. Greg and Jessica with you till 1 o'clock. So you were in studio last night. I was stationed out at the Ingleside out in Pewaukee, not too far away from my house. So kind of a method of convenience for me to be there and Julia to be at the zoo, a little bit closer to her residence. And certainly different and interesting dynamics. You guys are doing sort of the analysis, right, of things that were happening on screen in front of you and trying to, cross off who got what state and how many votes is all that stuff. That was the in-studio view.
I mean, ultimately, you had John McCure and I just touching base, giving you the up-to-the-minute election results, right, and taking you through the story, as I like to call it, taking you through the night. And then we had up-to-the-minute analysis from Dr. Ken Harris at 101.7 The Truth and Kristen Bry, who comes on with Spanning the State right after us. So it was a fantastic mix. But what a night. And I'm curious for you, Greg, as you take us in, as you did last night, you take us into that party, how it evolved, how it changed. When we touched base with you at 8 o'clock when Wisconsin Primetime started, as we called it, this Decision Primetime show, how it evolved from 8 o'clock to after midnight when they knew Trump was going to get this again.
Yeah, so the very interesting question, because I got there about 5 o'clock, well before anything was up and running. They had people who hadn't blown up balloons yet, right? There's helium tanks on the ballroom tables.
It was like you and the party
side.
planners.
Yeah, exactly, right? All you had was maybe about a 3-foot riser and a stage with black pipe and drape behind it. You had the American flag on one side of that stage. You had the Wisconsin state flag on the other side of that stage. Big Trump Vance signage on the stage as well. So you knew people were going to be up there speaking. Had a slew of TV media on risers in the back of the room. That's kind of where I was. And the rest were just, for lack of a better term, ballroom standing tables, some seated tables as well, like you might be attending an event or a wedding at the Ingleside. It's a beautiful hotel. So I was in there and having some conversations, but the conversation early was on the ballot snafu in Milwaukee. Now, keep in mind, this came very early in the day. And Senator Ron Johnson made a little field trip down to, kind of get things sorted out, make sure that he had a presence felt. And I ultimately asked him if he felt okay with the net result. Is Milwaukee handling it properly? The recount of roughly 30,000 ballots.
I wish Wisconsin could be called at a reasonable time. There's no reason not to have the types of controls in place where everybody's confident. I'm not looking for a partisan advantage. And it doesn't improve confidence nationally when you have a key city in the swing state screwing things up as bad as they screwed up in Milwaukee Central County.
And at that time, Senator Johnson told me he was still nervous, that he wasn't counting his chickens before they hatched, even though things were starting to look good. All the battleground states were up for grabs still at that point.
Well, when you bring up that about going back to Milwaukee and having to rerun more than 30,000 absentee ballots, it was a little bit of, I guess it was probably around 4 that I'd heard murmurings of that. So I reached out to city officials and said, hey, can you confirm that 30,000 absentee ballots in Milwaukee need to be rerun and give the reason why? And it was like, yes statement coming soon. And all this came in, and my first thought was, man, because this is not only going to be a big headline here in Milwaukee and across the state, but across the country as well. This is something that people are going to pick up on. And you wondered if people were going to pick up on it and mention that it's a big problem. But it didn't seem to be that way because they had Democrats involved in what they were going to do next. They had Republicans involved in what they were going to do next. And they all kind of came together. So it seemed like that worked out. But we already knew Milwaukee, the results were going to come in late because that's just part of the process. But this added even more time to it.
Yes. And as such, a very late call here for the state of Wisconsin. But you asked how things shifted. In the early going, Julie and I would join each other sort of back to back on your program and a little bit on Eric and Vinny's program as well, though that was well before anything was really going. That was like the pregame, if you want to call it that. But Julia would talk, and I could hear in the background, right? I could hear the cheering,
sure.
Right? Because they had the MSNBC coverage on. Obviously, they had the Fox News coverage on where I was, so you could hear the cheering in the background, any sort of win being celebrated. And the same thing was happening at the Ingleside. Any sort of win, expected or not, was being celebrated. But everybody was waiting for one of the big states to fall. Everybody was waiting for Michigan or Pennsylvania or Wisconsin, something. One of those states, those battleground states. When Pennsylvania was declared Republican, that place, the Ingleside, went bonkers. It was incredibly loud. And shortly after that, Julie and I were on a text exchange back and forth with each other and members of our staff here, everybody working last night. She's saying it's beginning to tear down here. Like people started to leave after Pennsylvania was announced. It got quiet. All of a sudden she is saying, hey, they've asked us to leave in 5 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm looking at the Trump supporting crew.
They're ready to go all night.
They're getting beers.
Yeah.
I'm not making that up. They literally are getting beers and wine. And absolutely, Pennsylvania, we want to hear Wisconsin. There were audible chants, call Wisconsin, call Wisconsin. And every time a big thing happened, Senator Johnson was back on stage. Tommy Thompson was riling up the crowd like he can. And you had just the people up there just sort of kind of saying where things were. Now, I would say at that point, it seemed like there was a little more confidence that Eric Hovde was going to pull ahead of Tammy Baldwin and win that race. Razor thin and with them in the margin to have a recount. But the juxtaposition of a tear down at the zoo and people popping bottles at the Ingleside, that's where it started to change. As soon as Pennsylvania was announced, there was a significant change at both parties' respective party.
Well, and there's no surprise when it comes to Pennsylvania. We knew that going in. I mean, that was the biggest prize of the night, 19 electoral votes. And we knew before the night even started, before the polls even closed, that a victory in Pennsylvania makes winning much easier. Didn't mean for sure that it was definitely going to Trump. We were all waiting to see what was going to happen with Wisconsin. We knew it was going to be late. It felt very similar, as it has in the past, that Wisconsin is late. And even it was early this morning. It wasn't last night. Was it 3:51? I was still up, and I was refreshing. I was still just waiting for some of those ballots to come in from Milwaukee and to see what was going on. I was like, refresh. They've got to come soon. It wasn't until a little bit later. But indeed, Wisconsin went to Trump. And how many times have we heard, if we win Wisconsin, we win the presidency? And in this case, it did indeed happen. Yeah,
so you had Fox News, I think, was the first to declare Trump the winner. I think they got on it before MSNBC and ABC and CNN. Over time, all the major media outlets were quick to jump on it. Not a surprise that Fox News would jump on it early.
Some of them were actually slow, and that was by design. Some of them did not want to call it. They were very specific, saying this is the reason we're not doing it because there's this. We're just waiting for this. We're waiting for that, and that's just because of what's happened in history. Nobody wanted to make just some, but there were definitely some of the outlets that were being very careful.
Yeah, Wisconsin ultimately put Trump over the top here, that 270 vote threshold. It was Pennsylvania that really opened the door for it. Once that happened, I will tell you, it was all of a sudden the kind of the token clapping when Trump won this state or that state or an expected state like Texas or Florida turned into hugs, tears, high fives. Like, it was just different. The level of energy was different. I did not stay till 4 a.m. When Wisconsin was announced. I ended up leaving about 1:30. but still a pretty good group of people. At its peak, maybe 200, 250. I'm not great with numbers, but I'm putting my cap on. And I would say well over 100 were still left when I left at about 1:30 in the morning.
I'm curious how many of you listening went to bed not knowing, and how many of you stayed up. Because for me, it was very difficult to go to bed just because, I mean, how many elections? I've never been able to. I mean, even when you finally get home, you're still wired from that. But there is something, for me personally, just about witnessing history and seeing what happens. So I have a hard time going to bed. I think I got an hour and a half of sleep. But for everybody else, I'm just curious, who couldn't go to bed and who had to wait as well just to see what was going to happen in those final minutes there. And then who said, you know what, I need my sleep and I'm going to wake up in the morning and find out.
Yeah, Texter made a good point here. Fox News used Wisconsin to put Trump over about 3 hours before all the votes came in, which is true. Not that it was a total runaway, but Waukesha County was pretty clear. It was about 60-40 split there with Trump winning. Eric Hovde also winning in Waukesha County, not a surprise there. And that remains razor thin. We've not heard the last from Eric Hovde, I can tell you that, and Tammy Baldwin. This is going to be kind of interesting to see how it shapes up, the timeline for communication and so on. But more clear was last night, Donald Trump working himself back into the White House, and we'll hear from Kamala Harris coming up a little later this evening. 11:25 on WTMJ. Incredible reaction from the markets here. How long does that last? Maybe through the end of the year. What does 2025 look like? Will rates be cut? Dave Spano is going to help us out with all of that coming up after the 11:30 news.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix-It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guests, Olson's Outdoor Power Equipment and National Fire Sprinkler Association. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. Yet at 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact NX Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at nxwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ.
Hey, not sure where you were watching your election coverage. Maybe it was on that same system you watch movies on, or a big game. Well, if you need an upgrade there, how about Flanner's Home Entertainment? If you've not stopped by their showroom in West Dallas or Grafton, you are missing out. Beautiful stores, gorgeous. You can also shop anytime at Flanners.com. Flanners, been doing it for decades. The people to go to when it comes to upgrading your system at home. Could be anything. Could be speakers that are put into the ceiling, whole house audio. That sounds pretty cool. Maybe just need a new TV or a bracket to put the TV on, or a Bluetooth speaker. Big or small, whatever the size of your project or need, Flanners has you covered. Locally owned, quality, service, the best brands, all right there, and guaranteed best prices. They remain top priorities for Flanners. It's sound advice at the best price. Just press play.
Ben, your face is turning blue. Are you okay?
I'm fine, Nicole.
Are you still wearing that silly thing?
What silly thing?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Ben had an idea to promote the Avery Bedroom Collection from Penny Mustard.
The Avery bedroom is gorgeous.
Sure is.
Its concave design stands out from the other furniture designs.
Sure does.
If the Avery bedroom was a lady, she'd have an hourglass figure.
See, I told you so, Arvid.
What's going on?
Ben thought that accentuating some of his own curves would be a good way to highlight the curves of the Avery bedroom.
Oh, no.
So he's been wearing...
Don't say it.
...a girdle.
Oh, Ben.
What?
Are you in pain?
Not anymore. I lost feeling in my legs a couple hours ago.
Come see the curvaceous Avery Bedroom Collection with queen bed, 9-drawer dresser, mirror, and nightstand, starting at $53.80 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
By now you've probably figured out what's most important to us at Semper Fi is our reputation. Building a great character-driven remodeling company is actually quite easy. It's just the first 20 years that are a bit challenging. Great companies are collections of great people, and we have great people. They're the ones that helped us build our reputation, but they only come after you've built something they want to be part of. We don't necessarily have to look for good people. They come to us. And that's what you want when you hire an exterior remodeling company. Someone who's going to stand behind their work, and a company that is truly proud of their people. And it's because they do great work. And when you're ready, we'll do great work for you too. This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors. your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Steve and Ashley heard our radio ads over the years, and when it came time to buy their first home, they clicked on the blue button. We sent them a credit-verified pre-approval the same day and upgraded to a rock-solid, fully verified and guaranteed pre-approval shortly thereafter. We also let them know about AccuNet's property-specific pre-approval, where we might be able to include those magic words, no appraisal required. When they wrote their next offer, several $1,000s over asking to make sure someone else didn't end up sleeping in their dream home, their property-specific rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval did include that most powerful phrase, no appraisal required, and the sellers picked Steve and Ashley's offer over several others. If you think all mortgage lenders and pre-approvals are the same, think again. Go with the local mortgage lender that has the tools and know-how to help you win. We'll also likely save you $1,000 to $3,000 in closing costs for exactly the same rate as your bank. Whether you're looking to buy or refi, click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
It's 11:30. I'm Greg Matzik. This is Wisconsin's Midday News for Wednesday, November 6th. Your top story, not conceding yet in Wisconsin.
I'm Jessica Ty. A moment of silence at City Hall.
50 degrees and cloudy in Milwaukee at 11:30.
This is a special report from ABC News, Your Voice, Your Vote. I'm Michelle Franzen. American voters delivered a win for Donald Trump and gave Republicans control of the Senate. House races still undecided. The economy and immigration leading the vote. ABC News contributor and presidential historian Mark Updegrove.
It's what we saw in 2016. The polls showed Hillary Clinton ahead. I think many had it at about 80% chance that Hillary Clinton would swing the election, and Donald Trump upset that race and won, if not the popular vote, the electoral vote, which is all that counts.
Trump has 4 ongoing criminal cases and 3 civil cases. ABC's Aaron Katursky on what's next.
The classified documents case has already been dismissed. Now the special counsel's appeal to reinstate it would likely be withdrawn. Trump's criminal case in Georgia, any trial now would have to wait until 2029.
Vice President Kamala Harris expected to deliver remarks at Howard University this afternoon. This is ABC News.
Siding Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 11:31. Well, the race for one of Wisconsin U.S. Senate seats isn't over quite yet.
In a statement this morning, Eric Hovde says he is not conceding the race to incumbent Tammy Baldwin, despite Baldwin posting on X declaring victory. Hovde speaking to his supporters in Madison overnight.
Feel good where we stand. Hopefully we'll be on to victory and starting to change the face of this country.
Hovde's statement reads in part, quote, "We're certainly disappointed that the Democrats' effort to siphon votes with a fraudulent candidate had a significant impact on the race. Libertarian Phil Anderson and independent Thomas Leager have earned a combined roughly 70,000 votes." Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Control over the state assembly and state senate will remain in the hands of the GOP. Of the 4 state senate races, 2 were contested. Republican Eric Wimberger wins the race for the 2nd district. In the other, a tight race for the 8th district, Democrat Jody Habush-Sinekin beats the incumbent Republican Dewey Strobel. In the state assembly, Republicans won all 4 of their races.
State and local elections officials say they're ultimately happy with how Tuesday night turned out, even if it was a little later than expected. In Milwaukee County, the final votes were tabulated just before 4 a.m., and roughly 30,000 votes had to be retabulated after an error concerning voting machines at Central Count. Despite the early setback, Milwaukee Elections Director Paulina Gutierrez says the day went pretty much as expected.
The city of Milwaukee, we've been planning this election since the beginning of the year. I'm really proud of the people I got to work with today. We had hundreds of Milwaukeeans come in and help at Central Count. It was a long day, but we got it done.
Gutierrez says roughly 108,000 votes were tallied at Central Count starting at about 8 o'clock Tuesday morning.
The administrator for the Wisconsin Elections Commission says the election in Wisconsin ran according to plan from an operations perspective. Now comes the process of certifying all the results.
Canvass is publicly observable, and in Wisconsin's many small communities, many of them actually began that canvassing process last night.
The deadline for Wisconsin's 72 counties to submit certified election results is November 19th. The state of Wisconsin has to do so by December 1st.
A moment of silence at Milwaukee's City Hall.
Resolution expressing condolences to the family and friends
of Alderperson Jonathan Brostoff.
Alderman Brostoff died unexpectedly earlier this week. Investigators say he took his own life. The council also honored former Alderman Terry Witkowski, who passed away of natural causes.
Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Saudi Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 11:34.
This is Jeff Johnson.
And I'm Jason Johnson.
And together, we're part of Johnson & Sons Paving.
Get your parking lot ready now for spring and avoid paying for extra repairs later on.
We'll come out to your property and walk it with you.
Potholes, damaged asphalt, damaged concrete, standing water, you name it. We'll talk to you about your options and fix it.
Plan a budget, set up an overall schedule with Johnson & Sons Paving.
It's all about doing it right the first time. Call us today to schedule a walkthrough and free estimate.
JohnsonandSonsPaving.com.
Hey, Wisconsin, it's Dave from Feldco. Did drafty windows make last winter frigid? Listen, Feldco's here to make things easier for you. It's the perfect time of year to replace those old windows. Right now, get 50% off windows plus no money down and no interest for 1 year. Visit us at 4feldco.com or give us a call at 866-4Feldco.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866-4Feldco.
Welcome back to Ask Hassellus.
Where the heck is everybody?
Hassellus Mattress Showrooms are employee-free. Test your Beauty Rest, Sealy Posturepedic, or Serta Perfect Sleeper without salespeople breathing down your neck.
Okay.
That means we can sell for way less. Our 43 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393.
Yes, but...
And through Monday, get an extra $248 credit just for shopping local.
I just have one question.
What's that?
Where the heck is everybody?
Find an employee-free showroom near you at hassellus.com.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for Elmbrook Family Dental, a great dental team from right here in Wisconsin. Dr. Eric is great. He's born and raised in Elm Grove, and he's the expert when it comes to cosmetic work with Invisalign. Dr. Eric's used Invisalign himself. He knows that would help him treat patients. He can help walk you through the process. The website is elmbrookfamilydental.com. 3 locations, 2 in Brookfield and a brand new spot in Wauwatosa. That's elmbrookfamilydental.com.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Time for WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. It's the bye week for the Packers. Not for Preston Smith. He's been traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 7th-round pick. Packers getting that deal done before yesterday's 3 o'clock deadline. And the Bucks look to snap a 6-game losing streak on the home floor Thursday night, taking on the Utah Jazz.
Let's get an update with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. It's a great update. There's nothing new, but it's fantastic. There is not one crash on the system, no disabled vehicles either. I'm going to keep our fingers crossed that it stays that way.
Cloudy today with a high of about 55 degrees. Overnight we'll dip into the 40s. Sun returns on Thursday with a high of 58 up to 60 on Friday. 50 and cloudy in Milwaukee at 11:37. Well, elections have consequences, and the markets are reflective of that today with the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P, everything just absolutely soaring here as we approach the noon hour, less than 12 hours after Donald Trump was declared the winner of the 2024 election. So what does it mean short-term and long-term? Oh, and by the way, will we have a Fed interest rate cut before the end of the week? Dave Spano is the president and CEO of Annex Wealth Management. He is not well rested. He is also joining us in studio.
Well, you trying to say that I don't look
well
rested?
No. You look great. But we were all, it's like, how do you turn off the coverage, right? We were talking about that. And you didn't have Pennsylvania fall till pretty late in the evening. So once the battleground started to drop, then you're waiting for Wisconsin. Well, that didn't happen until 4 a.m., so it could be tough to turn off. But let's talk about what's happening here today with we got a clue that was going to happen once Trump was declared the victor, but now we're seeing it. I mean, big-time numbers in the green. Why does this happen?
So you have to think about, theoretically why some of this is happening. So one idea is that Trump policies will be pro-growth. And that is really, he said that out loud. And so if they are pro-growth and you're going to start seeing things that are better for the United States, people talked a lot about tariffs. And what does that really mean? Well, if it means that there'll be more manufacturing here in the United States, do we look at that? But just think about the dollars in, I like to use the analogy that the money's in a washing machine and it's just moving around from side to side. So really what you're seeing, and you can see it today, is like, for example, solar stocks are down, but banking stocks are up. And so you're just seeing money move from one side of the washing machine to the next.
Can we talk about some of those stocks specifically? Because as we're looking right now, the Dow is up 1,358 points to 43,580. S&P 500 up 121 points to 5,904. NASDAQ up 439 points to 18,879. These are big numbers. Investors love seeing this. So what are some of the stocks that are performing especially well today, and what's their connection to Trump's win?
Okay, so I have to be careful about talking about individual names, but theoretically I can talk about it. For example, if you think about names like, let's pick on Tesla because of Elon Musk, and,
Sure.
and that's an easy one to talk about, and we're seeing that go up. But at the end of the day, and we can talk about any one of these names in a particular industry, but you have to say, what is the theory behind it? So, for example, we talked about solar stocks, and you go right down the list and see that they're down today, but then you talk about banking stocks that are up, because if you see that Lena Khan won't be the FTC chair anymore, which is highly likely that she won't be there, then you might see more mergers and activities, good for banks, good for brokers, good for M&A activity. And so that's the reason why we're starting to see a lot of that activity.
So on the flip side then, when it comes to sectors, who's losing?
Yeah, the losing for areas right now is things that are tied to China. So if you are a retailer here in the United States and you're a low cost provider and you get a lot of your goods from China, you're not doing great. I just throw a name out there like Five Below. And so it's probably 10 Below today. But you think about stocks that are going to source goods from China are not going to do well. If you think about clean energy to some extent, they're not going to do well. And what's interesting too is, the drill baby drill, and that we're going to have all of these things. If there's more supply, that actually means it's harder on energy stocks, not easier on energy stocks. But one of the things you can think about, we have a ton of natural gas in this country, and if we can use that natural gas to increase the energy footprint, that's a really good idea. Well, too, so you can go through all of these ideas and go pluses and minuses. And I actually made a list of winners and losers, and there's a list of losers as well.
So how do you look ahead to 2025, right? It's not uncommon to see this sort of, boost or sector shift here following an election. And maybe that continues to the end of the year. But without real, true understanding of what 2025 policy, 2025 and beyond looks like, how do you project what could happen at the start of the new year once inauguration happens and Trump is back in office?
So let's talk about macro. So let's, really what one of the things you want to think about is, it looks like, obviously, the Senate has gone Republican. That we know that already. We know that Trump has won, and we're looking at the House. Betting odds have a 96% chance that it's going to be Republican as well. At least a 1 or 2 seat majority for the Republicans. So that's a red wave. And so what comes out of that policy? Again, you think about things like, tax cuts. So if tax cuts go down, if corporate tax cuts go from 21 to 15%, that goes to the bottom line of the entire tradable market. And so earnings could be up. That's a macro picture. Number 2 is you see what's happening, that what's called backing up. The 10-year is backing up. In other words, going higher. So interest rates are going higher on the idea that deficits will expand and the debt will get bigger, right? So interest rates are going back up. That's not good for the housing market, for example. And so, if we get back up to the 7% mortgage rate, that might slow down the housing market. So you can put those two things side by side. But at the end of the day, Greg, you look at, did the company, whatever it is, I talked about this washing machine analogy, whatever it is, if you can sell more widgets, and then you get more net income, we can put a multiple on that, and we know the value of that stock then, right? So we're going through that portfolio right now, and money is moving back and forth, and that's happening today. But I think it's a really good way to look at it, is look into 2025, and not next week or even the end of this year, but more a longer-term vision of what could happen. And I think you're going to see a pro-growth policy, really probably an anti-trade policy to some extent, and we'll see if he really enacts that or use it as a lever to do some trade deals.
What about Bitcoin? Could we see a crypto frenzy at this point?
It's already started. I mean, look where crypto is today, Bitcoin over 75,000. And, that's probably one of those stories right now. And he had said it all the way through. And, of course, you have to remember where J.D. Vance came from, too. And so he is a pro-crypto guy as well. So we are seeing that trade move this morning as expected. And then you have to say, for example, who's going to lead the Senate? I mean, if you think about ideas, if the Senate is led by John Thune or somebody like that, and that's probably what's going to happen, you can see all of these ideas, macro, lower Fed. By the way, the Fed meets tomorrow. Mm-hmm. We're going to see a 25 basis point very likely, but we'll see if the chairman backs down a little bit because, he serves, we'll find out who serves as the Fed chair.
Right.
And I'm not sure that DJT is a big fan of Powell right now. So we'll have to see if that goes away. And remember I talked about backing up interest rates? That means that they're going higher. And if the Fed brings down their rate, that gap is closer, right? So the Fed doesn't have to chase the markets anymore. And so maybe we won't see the rate cuts as he was indicating earlier this year.
Okay, so walk me through that dynamic, because I think about a week ago, you see the inflation, the GDP numbers, jobs report, all that stuff comes out, and the arrow is pointing toward rates coming down, the cost of borrowing becoming a little bit cheaper. Yep. Are you suggesting now that because of the election result, that might remain neutral or not go down? And the Fed they meet tomorrow, so we'll 24 hours from now we'll know kind of what the plan is.
All right, so there's two ways to look at it. Number one is the idea that rates are probably not going to move down as fast because interest rates are going up. Interest rates are going up because the idea that he's going to have all these tax cuts and that the deficit is going to widen and the debt is going. So interest rates are going up because of that. So the gap between the Fed and the 10 years is lower, right? So that's reason number one. Reason number two is because last week we were certainly talking about a slowing economy. We were talking about GDP slowing down. We were talking about the jobs market starting to slow down. If the idea gets enacted with a red wave here, that it's a pro-growth policy, then those two things together should suggest that Powell may have to pause. We'll have to take a look.
I'm always kind of curious, too, when it comes to our presidential elections, how the world is reacting to it. Just as an example, today I was looking through some headlines, and the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, they've got Donald Trump sweeps to victory in historic comeback. How are European stocks responding today?
Well, it is funny because they are in a lowering rate as well. And so that, of course, means that that's good for the economy. However, if you saw, they're not acting with a whole great amount of joy. I mean, they're not big Donald Trump fans, of course, and we're seeing that right now. And of course, do these tariffs go into Europe as well? This might not be a Chinese tariff issue. It might be a European tariff issue because they have tariffs on goods that come into this United States. So you don't want a trade war, obviously, right? But if they're going to use that to improve the United States positions, he's probably going to do that and especially use it as a big stick.
I feel like a year ago, Dave, we talked about, the Dow just cracking 36,000 for the first time. It was like, holy smokes, where did this come from? We've never seen this. And now it's like, oh man, it fell under 42,000 again. Like it's what has driven this? I mean, it's a crazy segment of growth, and we see the boost today with Trump. Of course, part of that's under Joe Biden's leadership as well. Growth to uncharted territories.
So, a couple things you want to look at. Number one is you'll remember when you asked me that about a year ago, and I said, Greg, it's going to 50,000, and you said when? Well, I said it's going to 50,000. I didn't say when it's going to happen. The Dow is going to get there sooner or later, and this is where I'd say I've been doing this a long time, and you don't even want to know where the Dow was when I started in the mid 1990s. Right?
Tell us.
Well, it was around 1,000, right? It was between 1,000 and 2,000 on the Dow. Here we are at 40,000 and likely going to 50,000. So let's talk about the upward trajectory. And this is the other thing I would say. When President Obama won, all my conservative friends said, oh my gosh, it's going to hell in a handbasket, sell everything. That was a bad idea. And when Donald Trump won the first time, all my liberal friends said he's going to blow up the world, sell everything. They were wrong. If you look at the trajectory of what the market has done since post-World War II, it has been upward trajectory. And that doesn't mean it's going to always go up. It's going to go up in a straight line. You're going to get, ebbs and flows. but general direction has been up, and you're going to continue to see that here. So if you say we're going to have, here's the math part of it, you're going to have earnings that are going to grow. If taxes go down and you have a pro-growth society and earnings go up, then the way you value the Dow and the S&P 500 is an upward trajectory.
I feel like you always hear it's about the long-range game.
For sure.
As long as you have that time.
Yeah, if you have that time, and all of us do, and especially younger folks, I mean, the way to take advantage of this, particularly if you are working at a company that has a qualified plan, just continue to put a portion of your paycheck into your plan and let it grow pre-tax, and then it grows tax deferred. I mean, it's an amazing opportunity. A lot of our clients that come in, it's a big part of where they are on their financial picture is they have it saved in a qualified plan. So if you're listening to this and you're just getting going, put that money in a qualified plan. If you are in withdrawal mode and you're in retirement planning, remember that if a couple gets to 65, the likelihood that they're going to get to 90 is more than 50%. One of them is going to get to 90 is more than 50%. So that's a 25-year time frame.
Yeah, time has changed.
Exactly.
Dave Spano is the president and CEO of Annex Wealth Management. Appreciate the insight, Dave. Thanks you so much.
Dave.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet. It's approaching 11:50 here on WTMJ.
Thanksgiving's only a few weeks away, and Fleet Farm's got just what you need to prep for family and friends. For you turkey smokers, Griller's Gold barbecue pellets are just $5.99 a bag. And you can never have enough Fleet Farm mixed nuts. 2-pound bags are on sale for $12.99. Wash it all down with Bubbler's sparkling water. Now just $11 for 2 6-packs. The holidays will be here before you know it. So stock up now on everything you need at the best prices guaranteed at Fleet Farm.
Hey, Wisconsin, Greg Matzik here. It's Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac. Want to tell you about my good friends up there. They are ready to get you set for the winter driving months. Why not gear up and be ready to take on the roads with a little confidence in a new all-wheel drive equipped Chevrolet, Buick, or GMC? You can also explore the peace of mind benefits and value of a GM-certified pre-owned model. Connect with Team Holiday. Find the vehicle that's right for you. They've got the year-end sale going on right now. Score enticing offers. Get more for your trade. And experience for yourself what I have experienced. It's Team Holiday's simplified buying approach and genuine guest care. It's just different there. I can promise you that. It's the stuff that delights and makes fans of drivers from all over the state, and I am one of them. I trust in Holiday. They've helped them achieve top rankings as Wisconsin's #1 Buick and GMC dealer per 2023 Buick and GMC zone sales records. Navigate today's car market confidently, find yours, and discover the difference at Holiday Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC in Fond du Lac. Visit holidaygm.com. It's worth the trip.
Boy, it's getting so expensive to dine out, but not at the Mine Shaft restaurant in Hartford. WTMJ's John Mercure here. The Mine Shaft has been family-owned for over 45 years and one of my favorite places. Their Wednesday and Friday fish fry is just $7.99, and it's all you can eat. Or build your own big burger or chicken sandwich with a pile of hot fries for under $10. Kids 5 and under eat free from the kids menu today. Treat them to the Mine Shaft after school. They'll love the huge game room. I repeat, the Wednesday all-you-can-eat fish fry is $7.99. Unbelievable. Desserts are buy one, get one free. The Mine Shaft right there in beautiful downtown Hartford, and another location, easy to get to off the interstate in Oshkosh. Ample seating, close parking, incredible atmosphere. Just walk on in today for your $7.99 all-you-can-eat fish fry, serving from 11 a.m. Get there early. Every Thursday, buy one pizza, get one free. Order today, pick up or dine in tomorrow. MineShaftRestaurant.com.
Hey, Wisconsin, Jim Bob Morse here. Get ready to break out the Bandito with El Bandito Yankee, the official tequila of game day. 100% blue Weber agave, award-winning, all-natural, additive-free, and the smoothest tequila Milwaukee, Madison, and Titletown has ever tasted. Get yours today at La Pina on 3rd Street or your favorite local store. Remember, you always win with the undefeated flavor of El Bandito Yankee tequila. And for events, recipes, and places for purchase, go to elbanditoyankee.com.
Cloudy today and a high of 58 degrees, 55 we'll call it. How about that? I changed the forecast. I was actually just looking at the wrong day. Tomorrow's 58 with a high of 58 and sunny skies. It's 51 and cloudy in Milwaukee at 11:53. So for a lot of people, the election can be stressful, right? And we always manage stress in certain ways, whatever it is. It could be election-related, job-related, family-related. Anything can lead to stress. There's positive stress, and there is negative stress.
And a lot of people were very stressed leading up to the election.
Sure.
And you have a lot of people who are stressed today. You have a chunk of the population who is extremely happy and very pleased with the results of this election. And then you have other people who feel like their souls have been crushed and are stressed. So when you talk about stress, even though I was looking for a palate cleanser for just a couple minutes here, just to get away. But we're talking about stress, Greg. You brought up stress again.
Well, the stomach, did you know this, plays a big role in how our bodies manage stressful situations.
A study by University College Cork found microbes in the gut are critical for the stress-responding portion of the brain. Even a poor diet could impact how stress impacts us. Researchers say the findings may help lead to better stress treatments in the future.
That's CBS correspondent Michael George. Yeah, the stomach, right? Make sure that diet's where it should be. It'll help you manage stress. I've never really thought of it that way. I try to eat well. And for me, more, it's managing stress is, I don't really get worked up about too much. I know you'll find that shocking.
Shocker. That's great. That's why we love working with you.
Running for me helps, working out, just something. Like 20 minutes a day. I tell my wife this all the time. And I just need 20 minutes a day. I don't care what it is that I'm doing, as long as it's my time. But whatever it is. I'm not picking up the dog's poop in the yard. I'm not making dinner. I'm not doing chores around the house. It's just
whoa.
my
I'm only
time.
on an hour and a half of sleep. You're not picking up the dog's poop in the yard.
In other words, I'm not taking the dog out for a walk where I'd have to pick up. But just 20 minutes where I just have my own little time. And that's all I really need per day. For some people, it might be less or more. But for me, that works.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about what's in the gut this morning, that's making me stressed because all I have right now is some coffee and
caffeine.
a little bit of tea. I forgot to eat the banana this morning. I've never. First time. I looked at Greg and I said, oh, gosh, I didn't even eat the banana today.
Well, we're all kind of operating in a bit of a fog today, no doubt about that. 11:55, we'll call it, approaching 11:56. News is next on WTMJ.
The National Weather Service has issued a tornado watch.
Go to a place of safety now. A tornado warning is in effect.
The danger in the thunderstorm alone is definitely there, with wind gusts towards 50 miles per hour and lots of lightning in this storm system.
Keeping you updated on the weather so you can keep you and your family safe with severe weather coverage on WTMJ. Sponsored by Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Hey, who's getting hungry? Ooh, yeah, look at this. About to hit the lunch bell at noon here. How about a Palermo's? Make it a Palermo's day. Maybe make it a Palermo's night. How about that? Celebrate Palermo's. Check them out. It's Connie's Urban Pie, Screamin' Sicilian, which is overflowing with toppings. If you're not making it a Palermo's day or night in your house, you're missing out. Best tasting frozen pizzas you are going to find are made right here in Wisconsin. You'll celebrate local and you'll eat great with Palermo's. Wisconsin's hometown pizza, found wherever you like to shop, including Festival Foods, Pick and Save, Sendik's, Piggly Wiggly, Woodman's. You know the places. Wherever you like to go, you're going to find it. It is Palermo's, Wisconsin's hometown pizza.
When it's time for an Aaron snowblower, buying local is important. Purchasing one from Olson's Outdoor Power Equipment means you're well taken care of after the sale. The Olson's knowledgeable staff handles the warranty and parts, can answer all of your questions, and is available to do tune-ups and repairs. Check out the impressive line of Aaron snowblowers on display at the Olson's Outdoor Power Equipment showroom in Muskego. Aaron's is offering an instant in-store rebate and 2-year extended warranty. Check it out at Olson's Outdoor Power Equipment in Muskego.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
It's a bully that will not let up until you do something about it. And the worst part is that the bullying happens when you're at your most vulnerable. You might as well have your hands tied behind your back while that bully puts one hand over your mouth and pinches your nose with the other. He'll let up, let you catch your breath, and then he'll do it again. Sleep apnea is a bully. Not long ago, we heard our friend John tell you about how his bully was stopping his breathing in his sleep over 145 times an hour. Think about what that can do to your body's organs. It's no wonder that the snowball effects of long-term obstructive sleep apnea are heart disease, stroke, even depression and anxiety. But this problem is solvable, and we have solutions, and you'll be surprised at how simple they are.
To date, Advent has solved over 40,000 breathing triangle problems. It's time to put that bully in his place. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows. When you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Results may vary.
Did your home suffer damage from a storm or severe weather? Don't stress any longer. Loyal Family Renovations treats all of its customers like they've joined their personal family, and every project as if the work was being done at their own house. Loyal Family Renovations has a leg up on the competition due to the personal relationships they've built with insurance adjusters over the years. Loyal Family is family-owned, and the loyalty belongs to their customers. Contact them today to get your free home inspection. LoyalFamilyRenovations.com.
Who doesn't need a seasonal wardrobe update? But who has the cash to always keep their wardrobe updated? Ladies, that's why you shop St. Vincent de Paul. Our women's clothing is always a highlight of our stores, and thrift store prices keep the costs low. It allows you to experiment and also find a hidden gem. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Protect mom's assets, protect your assets. Call Kraus Estate Planning, estateplanningpeople.com.
Donald Trump has been elected President of the United States. Decision Wisconsin is on Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
It's 12 o'clock. I'm Greg Matzik. This is Wisconsin's Midday News for Wednesday, November 6th. Your top story, the vice president plans to concede.
I'm Jessica Ty, not conceding yet in Wisconsin.
Mostly cloudy today, a high of 55 degrees. Partly cloudy tonight and a low of 40. Sun for your Thursday and a high of 58. 51 and cloudy in Milwaukee at 12 o'clock. From the WTMJ Breaking Newsroom, Vice President Kamala Harris expected to concede the presidential election later this afternoon. News Nation's Kelly Meyer is with the Harris campaign in the nation's capital.
She is set to speak at 4 p.m. Eastern. No further details shared. They did say that the second gentleman will be by her side. The vice president, as we've learned, is working on this speech that will essentially be her concession. We're just watching to see when she will call former President Trump, if she hasn't already, and what exactly she'll say.
Yeah, Harris chose not to speak publicly when the polls closed late Tuesday night.
I'm Eric Bilstead. So what was the secret for Donald Trump's success?
I think he focused on the issues that voters truly care about.
Republican strategist Bill McCoshen tells Wisconsin's Morning News it wasn't rocket science.
People said the economy was the number one issue, and Donald Trump had specific answers as to how he was going to turn this economy around.
McCoshen says the biggest election surprise to him was the number of people who didn't vote.
The overall turnout appears to be down from 2020
by about 20 million voters. Eric Bilstead, WTMJ News.
Could Wisconsin's Senate race lead to a recount?
In a statement this morning, Eric Hovde says he is not conceding the race to incumbent Tammy Baldwin, despite Baldwin posting on X declaring victory. Hovde speaking to his supporters in Madison overnight.
Feel good where we stand. Hopefully we'll be on to victory and starting to change the face of this country.
Hovde's statement reads in part, quote, "We're certainly disappointed that the Democrats' effort to siphon votes with a fraudulent candidate had a significant impact on the race. Libertarian Phil Anderson and Independent Thomas Leaguer have earned a combined roughly 70,000 votes." Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
And the result of election night could mean big political changes coming to the White House.
It could be days before it's clear which party will control the U.S. House of Representatives. Democrats flipped two key seats. In New York's 19th District, Republican Representative Mark Molinaro lost to Democrat Josh Riley.
I believe in upstate New York, I believe in all of you, and I believe in our promise and our potential.
Michael George, CBS News, New York.
The Dow was up more than 1,300 points right now. So what does Donald Trump's reelection mean for the stock market? ABC's Sherry Preston.
The S&P and the NASDAQ were both up 2% as traders anticipated another 4 years of Donald Trump in the White House. Elon Musk's Tesla saw a 14% jump at one point. Bitcoin and the dollar both jumped in value as well. Stocks that were down included anything tied to clean energy, vaccine stocks, and the Mexican peso due to fears of a possible trade barrier under a Trump presidency.
Time for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. All the indices continue to be well in the green. The Dow currently up 1,393 points at 43,615. The NASDAQ also up nearly 500 points today. Massive day for the NASDAQ at 18,917. And a big day for the S&P 500, up 130 points this afternoon at 5913. For sound financial advice from a fee-only fiduciary, it's Annex Wealth Management. Go to annexwealth.com and click on the Get Started button today.
Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Sounding Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 12:04.
This report sponsored by the White Lace Inn, Door County. Order your holiday gift certificates now.
Hi, Dennis from White Lace Inn here. Since 1982, Bonnie and I have been providing comfortable elegance, sincere hospitality, and romantic getaways at the White Lace Inn in beautiful Door County. The White Lace Inn, 18 incredible rooms and suites within 4 Victorian homes, each with a beautiful queen or king-size bed. Enjoy a romantic fireplace and the warmth of a whirlpool for two. White Lace Inn gift certificates. It's the perfect holiday gift, and it's so easy, you can do it right now from your computer. Go to whitelaceinn.com and take a tour of each room, then click on the gift certificate icon or give us a call. In a few days, you'll receive your gift certificate, which never expires, in the mail along with a brochure to put under the tree. A gift certificate for White Lace Inn. It's a wonderful idea. The White Lace Inn on the Door County Peninsula is open every night of the year. Check out our website now, whitelaceinn.com. The White Lace Inn in beautiful Door County.
Hey, it's 620 WTMJ's Kristen Bry. I officially have a new dentist. I just had my first cleaning and checkup with Dr. James Michaels at Economwalk Dental Care, and I can't say enough about him and his awesome staff. Do you want your best smile for all those holiday family photos that are coming up? Have you not been to the dentist in a while? Do you have a fear of going to the dentist? Whatever reason you have for needing a new dentist, I am here to tell you to go see Dr. Michaels. He understands your apprehension about going to the dentist and will get you on the best care plan to get you confident about your smile. Whether you need a simple cleaning and exam, a teeth whitening, a more complex dental procedure, or even an implant for missing teeth, Economwalk Dental will always make you feel as comfortable as possible and give you and your family an amazing smile. Are you worried about cost? At Economwalk Dental Care, affordable quality dentistry is no longer a dream. It's the reality. Dr. Michael's fantastic staff can help you out with a no-interest payment plan. We all have to go to the dentist, so do not put it off any longer. Call and make an appointment today. You deserve to feel confident about your smile, so go see my new dentist, Dr. James Michaels at Economwalk Dental Care.
Time for WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. The bye week continues for the Packers, but not for Preston Smith, who was traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers before Tuesday's deadline. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst on replacing a veteran locker room leader.
It wasn't something that we set out to do. It wasn't something that we called a bunch of teams saying, hey, are you interested in Preston Smith? Because we know his value. But when the opportunity came and we got the phone call, we just thought it made sense for us for what we're trying to do. And again, I think he's going to a very good situation with a playoff caliber team and a really good organization. So that always, from my end of it, does help a little bit, especially with a guy who's given to us what Preston has given to us.
More on the Packers with ESPN Wisconsin's Jason Wilde coming up at 12:15. And the Bucs look to snap a 6-game losing streak Thursday night at home against the Utah Jazz.
Taking a look at the roads with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. We do have a crash that just popped up. We're doing really good so far, but here we go. I-94 East. This one's a little bit past Delafield. I-94 East at County P. P as in Paul. The left shoulder is blocked due to a crash.
Clouds going to hang out today with a high of 55 degrees, overnight low of 40. Should see some sun on Thursday with a high of 55. Friday looks pretty nice with a high of 60. It is 51 and cloudy in Milwaukee at 12:07.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios in downtown Milwaukee, it's Wisconsin's Midday News, making stories come to life. Now, here are your hosts, Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty.
I'd like to congratulate our producer, Gina. I have never seen a human being drink a gallon of coffee as fast as she did this morning. And also, thank you to Gina for caffeinating us today. Gina going to bat for us, sensing that we were dragging a little bit here this morning after our long night of election coverage. But it was Gina who polished off her That was a size I'd never seen before. That lasted about 4 minutes.
The venti, Greg.
The venti?
It's the big one.
That looked like a different sort of venti.
Woo! And the other thing, and this is so the venti is very appropriate on the day after the election. I mean, I'm going on an hour and a half of sleep. You're going on 4 hours. We are both on coffee now, thanks to producer Gina.
Thanks, Gina.
Got you guys. Also, Greg, there is one taller size than that even, the Trenta.
The what?
And I've never tried it, but I think I could do it. I think next time we're going to try that one.
You just made that word up. Are you serious? There's something more than a venti?
Yeah.
Where did this come from? When did this happen?
It's a challenge.
What in the world? What a time to be alive. It's 12:09 on WTMJ. Some big stories that we're following here.
It's now at noon on Wisconsin's Midday News.
A victory lap for Donald Trump. The 45th president of the United States will also be the 47th president of the United States. Trump posted a better-than-expected showing among voters in key battleground states, including Wisconsin, where he won 10 electoral college votes. Pennsylvania was the first of the battleground states to be decided. Speaking to supporters in Florida, Trump vowed to unite the country for his second term.
It's time to put the divisions of the past 4 years behind us. It's time to unite. And we're going to try. We have to try.
That was Trump last night speaking to a group of supporters in Florida at his watch party, or following his watch party.
Well, and that was really interesting to see because he came out. I mean, this happened while a lot of you were sleeping. He came out. He was surrounded by family. He had the American flags behind him. And he said this was historic, that he had done something that no one had done in the past. A lot of people now wondering when we'll hear from Vice President Kamala Harris.
Vice President Harris scheduled to address the nation this evening. 5 o'clock Central Time is what we were initially told. She did not speak to supporters Tuesday night. They had a pretty good collection of people at Howard University. Harris did not speak. ABC News exit polling shows Trump outperformed Harris with white voters, union households, and minorities. ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang.
They are shell-shocked, one telling me that she is stunned, calling this the bloodbath that none of them expected. Now, the campaign officially has been dead silent, but I am hearing from campaign operatives that they expect the vice president to graciously accept defeat, that she's going to say she wishes the former president the best because she wants what's best for the country, because she loves the country.
Yeah, some key words there. Shell-shocked, in disbelief. This was a pretty clear-cut win, right? With Electoral College and the popular vote, put it all together. I mean, no messing with it. This was a clear win for Donald Trump.
And you have a lot of her supporters who will tell you they are shell-shocked, too. It was an early morning boost from Wisconsin that pushed Donald Trump over the edge and into the Oval Office. How many times do we hear, win Wisconsin, win the White House? Well, that happened. The AP declared Trump the winner of Wisconsin's 10 electoral votes at 4:34 our time this morning. That was enough to move Trump past the 270-vote threshold needed to retake the presidency. The Banter State ends up being a key to Trump's historic comeback.
Yeah, I feel like Pennsylvania sort of unlocked the door there. There was incredible enthusiasm at the Republican Party's party at the Ingleside yesterday. As soon as Pennsylvania was announced, I feel like people there really started to feel it. Of course, had to wait some time before Wisconsin was announced. Michigan, I don't know if Michigan is announced yet. Nevada, Arizona, we're still hanging there as of this morning at about 9, 10 o'clock. I just have not followed it. But nonetheless, it doesn't really matter at this point of the game.
Yeah, Pennsylvania, the biggest prize of the night with 19 electoral votes.
Back to our top story here. The Demi is 3 fluid ounces at Starbucks.
The Demi?
The short is 8 fluid ounces, only available for hot drinks. The tall is 12 fluid ounces. Grande 16, Venti 20, 24 ounces for cold drinks. And the Trenta. I think I have heard of that. I've just never seen it.
I haven't seen it either. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. Have you actually seen it, Gina?
30 ounces.
I haven't, so maybe it just doesn't exist.
No, it does.
Maybe it's just a dream.
Select beverages like iced coffees, cold brews, and iced teas. So you're not getting a hot Trenta. You can get a cold Trenta. I don't know if you can do the refresher thing. That's what Gina bought me today.
I need a vat of coffee today.
There you go. Get a Trenta or a couple. 12:13 on WTMJ. Time for our football fix. The Packers are on a bye week. They executed a trade yesterday. What does it all mean? Jason Wilde, ESPN Wisconsin's Wilde and Tausch, joins us after this.
There are a lot of interesting people and traditions in Wisconsin. 1 hour of covering culture and creativity in our state is simply not enough. I'm Sandy Max of WTMJ's What's on Tap with the happy news that my show is now expanded to 2 hours. So please join me weeknights from 6 till 8 for updates on festivals, films, food, music, theater, and other ways we love to make the most of Wisconsin life. What's on Tap with Sandy Max weeknights now from 6 till 8 on WTMJ. And subscribe to the What's on Tap podcast to listen anytime you want.
Skilled trade workers are the backbone of every community, and also the Army National Guard. Soldiers trained to keep the power flowing, engines running, and in every other trade needed to accomplish the mission. These soldiers are on the fast track to learning skills that can set them up for success at home with companies looking to hire the best. Their resumes are being built through their paid training and part-time service. Find out how you too can learn a trade profession by visiting NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik here for Flanner's Home Entertainment. Does the audio and video system in your home need an upgrade? Well, Flanner's has all the solutions and the installation experts to simplify and upgrade your home entertainment experience. Forget about the impersonable big box stores and risky online purchases. You go with locally owned Flanner's, where quality service, the best brands, and guaranteed best price remain top priorities. Stop by Flanner's in West Dallas, Grafton, or at Flanners.com. Sound advice at the best price. Just press play.
Your current car? Soon to be your old car. A new car? Better start looking. But you've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with free credit score for Choice and Platinum Choice checking customers. Because when you know you need to make a big purchase, knowing your credit score puts you in the driver's seat. You've got this with free credit score from Associated Bank. See AssociatedBank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
Cloudy today and a high of 55 degrees, overnight low of 40. Sun returns on Thursday with a high of 58 up to 60. With a little bit of sun on Friday. It's 50 and cloudy in Milwaukee at 12:15.
It's Wednesday, which means it's time for Flanner's Home Entertainment Football Fix with Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty.
Good team. Detroit's maybe the best team in the league. I'll give them that vote. But the Packers aren't terribly far off from them. That's a winnable game. They keep shooting themselves in the foot in their losses.
But always a memorable experience at Lambeau. Sure. And a lot of people were just having fun, dancing in those rain boots.
Here on Wisconsin's Midday News.
I wanna see you out that door, baby. Bye, bye, bye.
I see what you did there, Gina. Well done.
Nice.
It's our football fix, sponsored by Flanner's Home Entertainment. Sound advice at the best price. Just press play. Brian Gutekunst.
Wasn't something that we set out to do. Wasn't something that we called a bunch of teams saying, hey, are you interested in Preston Smith? Because we know his value. But when the opportunity came and we got the phone call, we just thought it made sense for us for what we're trying to do. And again, I think he's going to a very good situation with a playoff caliber team and a really good organization. So that always, from my end of it, does help a little bit, especially with a guy who's given to us what Preston has given to us.
He's a good Packer overall. Preston Smith, now a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers, so I guess his bye week is over prematurely. Second consecutive year, the Packers have executed a trade, as we welcome in ESPN Wisconsin's Jason Wilde. But the second consecutive year, Jason, where they haven't acquired a player, they have traded away a veteran player.
Yeah, some might say they've said bye in consecutive years as well. Yeah, last year was different though, and I even kind of pointed that out to Goody when we talked to him yesterday. Like last year, they're 3-6 at the trade deadline. They're very clearly in a rebuilding mode, and so they send Rasul Douglas, one of their starting cornerbacks, while Jair Alexander is hurt, I might add, to Buffalo, along with a 5th-round pick. They get a 3rd-round pick back in exchange. So this is different. They're sitting at 6-3, but the thinking behind it is the same. Regardless of them now seeing themselves as a Super Bowl contender, the mentality is we're freeing up some snaps for younger guys that we think have brighter futures and can develop with more playing time. So Lucas Van Ness, J.J. Enagbare, Brenton Cox, Aaron Mosby, those are the guys that are going to see more time now and divvy up those snaps that have been going to Preston Smith, whose snaps had, for the record, decreased over the last month on a game-to-game basis.
Jason, how would you grade this trade?
Well, they got a 7th-round pick back, which isn't much, but if you put it in terms of they gave up a 7th-round pick for Malik Willis, and he saved their season by winning 2 games as a starter and then helping them win the game that Jordan left with the groin injury in Jacksonville. If you look at it through the prism of they traded Preston Smith for Malik Willis, I would say it's a pretty good trade, right? They basically won 3 games they might not have. So from that perspective, I think it's probably an A. If we think about it in terms of, and Goody admitted this yesterday, when we were talking about kind of the risk involved here, he said, look, I like our depth. I like the kind of team we are, but, when you trade away someone like Preston Smith, now you're only an injury or 2 away from saying to yourself, man, maybe that wasn't the right move. And I appreciated his honesty there. We'll see if they stay healthy and they're able to be productive. But the other part of that defensive line, and Preston was only a part of it, was that it wasn't very productive as a group through the first 9 games. And we'll see if that changes in the second half of the season as well.
How does that move go over with a young team, Jason? Because to your point, you're 6-3 right now, and the Packers have warts, but they've still been able to win 6 out of their 9 games. And the common traits are penalties and interceptions and things that have sort of led them to shooting themselves in the foot. But you have a young team. To be a Super Bowl team, it's important to have Super Bowl depth. So whether Preston was great or not, he is depth, veteran presence. I think there's a level of trust you probably have. And then the leadership component, how is this being viewed inside? Because, it's not like he was a malcontent. I think Preston Smith, in my time anyway, in the locker room, you'd know better than me, pretty liked guy overall.
Yeah, certainly not Zadarius Smith, who definitely was a malcontent on his way out of Green Bay, and now he's going to be facing the Packers as a member of the Lions, because that's the guy the Lions acquired to replace an injured Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah, I think he connected well with his young teammates. I saw Jaden Reed and a few others took to social media with tears in their emojis' eyes about him departing. But at the same time, I think, the difference here again is that Preston had not been very productive. Like, we can say all those nice things about him, and they're true, but the fact of the matter is, he had 2 sacks in the first 5 games and hadn't had a sack since, and only had 2 pressures in the last 2 games. Like, he wasn't really moving the needle. And Aaron Mosby, who had played 2 defensive snaps before Sunday, had got to play 5 whole snaps against the Lions, and he had a half sack on one of those 5 snaps. So I think that probably, made it a little bit easier for Goody to make the move. Again, this is different than Rasul Douglas, who was leading them in interceptions and may have, I think he came up 1 short of leading them in interceptions last season total after being traded. So again, I think they don't view Preston Smith as an integral part of them being a Super Bowl team. And if they had not traded him, he was going to be cut next year anyway. So they got something for him. They want to look at these other young guys. They think that they can grow and become better players than what Preston is now. Certainly when Preston was signed as a free agent in 2019, he was a different player than he is today. So, as much as I may be someone who criticizes Goody a little more often than others, it's hard for me to quibble with this one. I was very critical of the Rasul Douglas trade. I am not very critical of this one.
When you talk about the Packers-Lions game, that one was rough. It was also wet. My mom and I went, and we prepared, but man, we were just soaked. Are you up there in a dry spot just taking it all in, Jason?
Well, I did have to walk over from the Tundra Trio and use my umbrella on my walk. And, my shoes got a little wet, so that was kind of annoying.
That's such a short walk from the Tundra Trio.
I'm up there in my ivory tower staying nice and dry. I thought the air conditioning was a little cold, frankly. I thought I don't know if they forgot to turn it from the summertime to more of a heat situation. But, Yeah, I was pretty good. I didn't get to eat much at the buffet that they had. I think they had some chicken, but overall, I stayed nice and dry and really enjoyed my time at Lambeau Field on Sunday. It sounds like you did too. You said that you were dancing in your rain boots in the walkway. So you sound like you had a lovely day as well.
Well, it was a lot of fun. I mean, like I said, when you go up to Lambeau, it's such an experience. You got to treasure it. And I do think a lot of people, as miserable as it was, just people were having fun because that's what we do, right? That's what Packers fans do.
Looked like the people dressed in blue were having all kinds of fun, and by the end of the game, they were the only ones still there. I felt bad for the Badger band.
Yeah. They were in the bathroom drying off, a lot of them.
Oh, God, I wouldn't blame them. If you see Jessica at another game, Jason, just try and flag her up to the press box and let her get her core body temperature back up to speed, perhaps. What was the message from Matt LaFleur just going into the bye week? We know guys are sort of scattered here for the next several days. No game until they take on the Bears on the 17th. What was the parting message after that loss going into this time off?
Yeah, I thought this was really interesting. It felt like a really smart thing to do by Matt LaFleur, and that was they met with every one of their guys on Monday before they all were dismissed for the week, and they all said that they all were given one specific thing to work on over the bye, and then when they get back to work. And that was done in asking guys what's the one thing you need to work on, or maybe they were suggesting some of them to them. But I thought that was really interesting that to try and fight the, hey, all right, we're coming off a loss, it's disappointing, but we got a lot of football left, and we got to figure out how to be better. So pick that one thing. And Matt LaFleur said, he and the coaches have that task as well, picking out that one thing that they're going to be better at when they come back to work.
Well, he will enjoy his bye week as well. No football this weekend for the Packers. ESPN Wisconsin's Jason Wilde. It's Wilde and Tausch, 9 to noon on ESPN Wisconsin. Appreciate it, Wilde. Thank you. Enjoy the weekend.
Jason.
All right, everybody, take care. Be good.
You do the same. 12:25 on WTMJ.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix-It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guests, Olson's Outdoor Power Equipment and National Fire Sprinkler Association. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. Yet at 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact NX Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at nxwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ.
Hey, since 1955, Geis has been the trusted garage authority in Wisconsin. Don't let a busted garage door get you down. WTMJ's Greg Matzik here. I had Geis come out to the house on Monday, as a matter of fact. Actually, no, it was last week, Monday. Jeez. Time goes fast when you don't sleep. Yes, they came out. They fixed the door frame. Yeah, the stripping was starting to peel away a little bit, and Geis came out. It was a simple job for them, but that's part of the beauty here. Big or small, doesn't matter the size of the project or the scope, Geis is there for you. With brands like CHI and LiftMaster, they have the doors and openers for every budget, big or small. They even have a custom design center. If you have a custom project, maybe an abnormal size, or you're looking for a wood door or something just a little different, Geis can help you with that as well. Swift and reliable garage repair solutions are available for you at Geis. Visit geisdoors.com or stop by their showroom in Brookfield and talk with the folks at Geis. Right off Barker Road. You can't miss it. Don't think twice. Call Geis and visit geisdoors.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Now, about your house.
Eric Brown is the president of Siding Unlimited, your contractor for new windows, roofing, siding, decks, and a whole lot more. He knows about your house. So what do you know, Eric?
I know some of our best weather happens in the fall, but I also know what comes next. Homeowners, this is your time to break out the checklist and prepare for some of Wisconsin's harshest weather in the winter. Here are some hot points to check so you are prepared for this upcoming winter season. Make sure your gutters and downspouts are free and clear of debris. This is a must-do before winter. Pick a nice day and clean everything out so water can flow through. This will help reduce the amount of ice that can build up after a snowstorm. From the ground, check if your roof and chimney are sealed and ready. Please don't go onto the roof for a couple reasons. Safety is number one. If you don't normally walk on roofs or on sloped surfaces, then staying off the roof will assure your safety. Excessive walking on your roof could damage the shingles, so you want to leave it to a professional if you want somebody up on your roof. Check your attic and make sure the vents are free of debris and air is circulating throughout the attic. A well-ventilated attic will dramatically reduce the chance of moisture issues when the temperatures drop. You wouldn't believe how many homeowners live in cold homes and their windows are unlocked. Check and make sure your windows are locked and seals are intact. Many old windows can be locked and still drafty. Those windows need to be replaced to really save on energy costs and dramatically improve the comfort in your home. By checking your home and making sure it is in tip-top shape makes so much sense. And it is way better to be a proactive homeowner in the fall instead of a reactive homeowner in January.
Eric and his crews at Siding Unlimited are your home's go-to contractor here. Take your next step and check them out at sidingunlimited.com. Siding Unlimited, siding and a whole lot more.
It's 12:30. I'm Greg Matzik. This is Wisconsin's Midday News for Wednesday, November 6th. Your top story. So how did election night go, really?
I'm Jessica Ty. A moment of silence to remember a Milwaukee alderman.
Cloudy skies today and a high of 55. Clouds stay in the forecast tonight with a low of 40. Sun returns on Thursday with a high of 58, up to 60 under sunny conditions on Friday. It's 50 and cloudy in Milwaukee at 12:30.
This is a special report from ABC News, Your Voice, Your Vote. I'm Michelle Franzen. Donald Trump taking a victory lap after his historic win against Vice President Kamala Harris. ABC's John Santucci says the former president's team now working on the transfer of power.
This is a team that now knows how to do this. They have gone through a transition before. So one of the things that we will be watching out for is how much of the federal government apparatus do they work through. There is an agency that is set up to deal with transitions called the GSA, General Services Administration, and it's our understanding that Team Trump has not had those conversations yet, but could begin in the coming days and certainly weeks to come.
Republicans also gained control in the Senate. House races still being tallied. Vice President Kamala Harris expected to deliver a speech this afternoon. A Biden administration official says President Biden will speak to the former president today to offer congratulations and address the nation tomorrow. This is ABC News.
Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News. Time is 12:31. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Greg Matzik. State and local elections officials say they're happy with how Tuesday night turned out overall, even if it was a later than expected evening for most. In Milwaukee County, the final votes were tabulated just before 4 o'clock this morning, and roughly 30,000 votes had to be retabulated after an error concerning voting machines at Central Count. Despite the early setback, Milwaukee Elections Director Paulina Gutierrez says the day went pretty much as expected.
The city of Milwaukee, we've been planning this election since the beginning of the year. I'm really proud of the people I got to work with today. We had hundreds of Milwaukeeans come in and help at Central Count. It was a long day, but we got it done.
And Gutierrez says roughly 108,000 votes were tallied at Central Count starting at about 8 o'clock Thursday morning.
Control over the state assembly and state senate will remain in the hands of the GOP. Of the 4 state senate races, 2 were contested. Republican Eric Wimberger wins the race for the 2nd district. In the other, a tight race for the 8th district, Democrat Jody Habush-Sinekin beats the incumbent Republican Dewey Strobel. In the state assembly, Republicans won all 4 of their races against Democratic challengers.
International media got a first-hand look at the whole process of elections in the state.
Hi, I'm Divya Das. I may not be a household name in the States, but I am in my home country of Denmark.
Das is a newscaster visiting Wisconsin for the first time to cover what she calls, quote, the world's most important election, end quote, for Denmark's TV2. She's observed voting at the polls, plus interviewed a Fond du Lac farmer from Denmark and Get Out the Vote volunteers at No Studio's election night watch party. Danes are very interested in the United States' participation in NATO.
It is very important to us as Europeans that there is a U.S. that we can rely on.
Sandy Max, WTMJ News.
A moment of silence at Milwaukee City Hall.
Resolution expressing condolences to the family and friends of Alderperson Jonathan Brostoff.
Alderman Brostoff died unexpectedly earlier this week. Investigators say he took his own life. The council also honored former Alderman Terry Witkowski, who passed away of natural causes.
Police investigating an alleged assault inside a woman's restroom at Sunday's Packers game. Michigan native Catherine McCrae tells NBC 26.
He saw me and, for whatever reason, kind of grabbed me specifically and punched me in the face.
McCrae is one of multiple women who say the man punched them in the restroom. One woman says she saw the man urinating in a sink, and McCrae says the man told her he was upset after seeing a woman in the men's room. Charges have not been filed.
Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Saudi Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 12:34.
WTMJ's Julia Fellow here for Elmbrook Family Dental. Wanted to share something that Dr. Tybel just told me. From now through the end of this year, new Invisalign patients will get $600 off and a new Sonicare toothbrush. They're awesome. The new patient process is so easy. They have 2 beautiful locations in Brookfield and a brand new state-of-the-art office in Wauwatosa. Book now at elmbrookfamilydental.com. That's ELMBROOK FamilyDental.com.
Is outdoor living limited at your place? Well, imagine a deck, a patio, pergola, fire pit, maybe even an outdoor kitchen in your yard. Outdoor Living Unlimited is a local, family-owned company that consults, designs, and builds these things. And they're the best. Let them make outdoor living unlimited in your yard like they did in ours. We are Wisconsin. We live outdoors as much as possible. Make the most of it with help from Outdoor Living Unlimited. See OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
So the body knows that it needs to heal itself, but it doesn't know how to concentrate it and target it into just one area. So that's where we come in.
By we, Dr. Ashley Caravelli means the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, QC Kinetics.
We put in those treatments, then it sends out like little signalers to your body. We're able to make the body focus on the areas that need the most healing.
QC Kinetics has gathered brilliant medical minds like Dr. Caravelli and Dr. Mitchell Shinecup, a pioneer in the field of regenerative medicine, to lead the way in these innovative pain treatments.
So at QC Kinetics, we have a whole team working nationwide with cutting-edge research to reach our patients and treat them and know that surgery is no longer their only option.
The consultation is free. Find out if you're a candidate. Call QC Kinetics today.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. Nothing doing for the Packers this week. They've all scattered for the bye. The Packers will next take the field November 17th against the Bears, and they'll do so without linebacker Preston Smith, traded to the Steelers yesterday for a 7th-round pick. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst on replacing a veteran locker room leader.
Yeah, I think, obviously having Preston in the locker room, he's always been a really good leader for us. And whenever you lose that, but that just usually creates room for other guys to step into that void. So I think we have a lot of guys that are capable of doing that. And so, again, I think, we want to grow together. And I think the group that we got in our front is doing that right now. And I'm excited to see what they do in the second half.
Week 10 of the NFL season begins Thursday night with the Ravens taking on the Bengals, and the Bucs aim to snap a 6-game losing streak Thursday night at home against the Utah Jazz.
Let's get you an update on the roads with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. We do have a new crash that popped up just 4 minutes ago. It's on the ramp from I-94 East to Wisconsin 175 North. So that's a stadium interchange. It's always a busy spot. I'm looking at the cameras. I can't actually see the crash on these cameras, but what I can see is the backup that it's causing. So a heads up, there is definitely a backup in the stadium interchange right now. It is on the ramp from I-94 East to Wisconsin 175 North. Expect closures.
Traffic is sponsored by the Heiser Automotive Group. For convenient car shopping and financing, visit Heiser Automotive Group at one of their 4 locations: Toyota, Chevy, Ford, Lincoln, and Cadillac. Or visit Heiser.com, because today's your day.
Mostly cloudy today, a high of 55. Somebody in the text line saying some sprinkles actually falling in downtown. Nothing really that's going to pop up on the radar. We, of course, don't have a window in here that looks to outside, so I cannot see what you're talking about, but I believe you.
It looks to Fussspot MKE.
Okay. That is what we look at, yeah.
She's cooking right now.
Sounds delicious, as a matter of fact.
It sounds good right now. So comforting, doesn't it?
It really does sound nice.
Oh, man.
Good night for it, too, perhaps. A low of 40 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and a high of 58. Sun returns on Friday with a high of 60. It's 50 and cloudy in Milwaukee at 12:38.
So you're right.
Well, still waiting on some information to fully define the races that we saw unfold in front of our eyes last night. Donald Trump ultimately declared first by Fox News as the winner of the election. Other media outlets of significance started to piggyback on that report, and here we go. Trump gave a victory speech of sorts last night in Florida. Very interesting being in the 2 different watch parties. My experience with the Republicans, Julia's experience with the Democratic side. Wanted to welcome in ABC News political analyst Steve Roberts. Steve, what was a turning point for you? When did you start to see things shift toward Donald Trump's camp?
About 3 weeks ago, when the trajectory reversed. After the Democratic convention and the burst of relief and optimism Democrats had, I've covered 16 presidential elections, and I always look at the trend line. And at some point, Harris's advantage stopped growing and, in fact, started receding. And I was particularly looking at Pennsylvania, and it seemed to me that it was slipping away. I was surprised that Trump won Wisconsin and Michigan, but I was not surprised that he won Pennsylvania. I always thought it was going to come down to that state and that he would win it. Look, there are many, many reasons for this, but I come back to one basic fact that was true from the first day of this election, and it's true the first day after this election. And that is that Americans in Milwaukee and everywhere else were so upset and disillusioned with the economy, and particularly with inflation. Inflation is always the most damaging of political issues because it affects every family in Milwaukee and everywhere else every day. You know, you think of an issue like abortion, it doesn't affect you every day. You think of climate change, it doesn't affect you every day. The war in Gaza, it doesn't affect you every day. Inflation does. And there's one number that jumps out at me. Exit polls. 45% of Americans last night told pollsters that their own personal financial situation was worse today than 4 years ago. The classic question that Ronald Reagan asked in 1980, are you better off? Well, 45% said no. And of that group, almost half the electorate, they voted 80 to 17 for Donald Trump. 80 to 17. That's the core explanation right there. The impact, the tremendously damaging impact of the economy on Biden was there from the beginning, and it was there last night.
Isn't another big part of this that Trump overperformed in rural areas and Harris underperformed in urban areas like Milwaukee?
Sure, but you got to say why. And one is that we just underestimated how tenacious economic dismay was. You know, Harris and Biden kept trying to say, look, we're creating new jobs with infrastructure projects. We're reducing the cost of drugs like insulin. We're making your economic life better. But these were all theories. These were all abstractions. They weren't realities. But here's the other factor that I'm looking at. We, with good reason, focused so much on one side of the gender gap because the Dobbs decision certainly helped energize women and motivate a lot of women to be far more active and involved in politics. And that was all appropriate and all accurate. But in our focus on women and the gender gap, we did not look at the other side of the gender gap, which was men. And Donald Trump was very shrewd and very effective at focusing his message on men, particularly younger men. And when he was asked what was his appeal, it really came down to one word, and that word was strength. And if you look at not just did he do well with younger men across the board, but black men, 20% of black men voted for Trump. 53% of Latino men voted for Donald Trump. And that's the other reason why this election was not as did not go as predicted, because Trump really overperformed with men.
Steve, what does the election say about our polling system and the mechanisms we have in place to try and determine how tight a race is going to be?
Well, look, in the end, a lot of these polls were pretty accurate. I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked at the latest polling data and how in Wisconsin how far they were off. But everybody always warned that the margin of error was 3 points, and so I think almost all of the results were within the margin of error in most states. People just misunderstand polling because it's an inexact science. It depends so much on who answers the phone and all of that. But look, the fault is not just with polling; it's how people read polls. They think somehow polls are brilliant and precise projections of what's going to happen, but that's not what a poll is. It always has a margin of error, and the other factor is it's very hard for pollsters who usually end their time in the field, a week or a few days before the election, and it's very hard to pick up late deciders, and that was one of the key factors. In the days before the election, the Democrats were saying the late deciders were breaking for Harris, but that turned out not to be true. The polls are very clear that late deciders voted about 7 percentage points in favor of Trump, which is really what also happened in 2016. So, polling is just imprecise, and it's the people who read the polls are as much at fault as the pollsters themselves.
I wonder, too, if you had a lot of voters who just could not separate Harris from Biden. And I think back to, what was that, when she was on The View and she was asked the question, what would you do differently? Was that answer of hers when she said nothing kind of a nail in the coffin for a lot of people?
No, it was several nails in the coffin. It wasn't just one nail, but it reflected something that doesn't get enough attention, which is that Harris was trying to do something that has been very, very rare in American history. It's sometimes called the curse of Martin Van Buren. In 1836, a long time ago, Martin Van Buren was Andrew Jackson's vice president, and he was elected president. Since then, 188 years, only one sitting vice president in 188 years has been elected president, and that was George Bush 41 in 1988. And he was basically running for Ronald Reagan's third term. Morning in America, everybody's feeling good, and so Bush won. But 4 years later, when he had to run on his own against Bill Clinton, he lost. That's not a random number. And that moment on The View crystallized why the curse of Martin Van Buren is so powerful. Because, look, there are only 2 slogans in politics. All incumbents say, you never had it so good, 4 more years, right? And all challengers say it's time for change. But when you're the sitting vice president, you have to say both things at the same time. You have to defend your record. You have to be loyal, which is what Harris was trying to do at that moment on The View. But you also have to try to say, I'm an agent of change. I'm different. It's an inherently mixed message. It's inherently muddled. And that's why it's so rare that a sitting vice president has ever been able to do this. Go back to 1960 when Richard Nixon was running as the sitting vice president, to take another good example. And Dwight Eisenhower was asked, well, can you name us one thing that Nixon has contributed to your administration? And he said, well, give me a week and maybe I'll think of something. I mean, it's this is not a new problem. This has been there for almost 200 years, that vice presidents have a very, very difficult time. And that moment on The View crystallized exactly why.
I have so many questions for you, and I know I talked to you just hours ago, too, and you only have limited time, but I guess one closing thought here. What do you think Trump's win says about America?
Oh, dear. Well, it says a lot of things. It certainly says that the Democrats, as Paul Begala, a very shrewd Democratic analyst, said, the Democrats have lost touch with their roots as a party. And Begala said, the center of gravity of the Democratic Party has moved from the factory floor to the faculty lounge. And one thing that's clearly true is the Democrats have become the party of the educated elite. They have lost touch with their working class roots, and they have lost touch with the culture, and they've embraced wokeness in its extreme forms. And that's not where the mainstream of America is. But there's another factor, too, that there are so many factors, but let me give you one other example. Donald Trump is a very, very American figure. So many Democrats have been saying for months, well, he's abnormal and we shouldn't normalize his behavior. But if you look at history, and again, I have this really bad habit of looking at history, but I've covered 16 presidential elections. I'm 81 years old. It goes with the territory. And Donald Trump is a very American figure. Throughout our history, we've had demagogues arise who demonize foreigners, who play on fears of xenophobia. Back in the 1840s, it was anti-Catholicism, particularly aimed at the Irish and the Italians. In the 1880s, there was a spasm of anti-Chinese, feeling that laws were passed to bar Chinese workers from owning property. In the 1940s, one of the most shameful blemishes in the 20th century, where over 100,000 loyal Japanese Americans were incarcerated in internment camps out of fear that they somehow were not loyal Americans and were going to be fifth columnists for the Japanese. Over and over and over and over again, leaders have demonized foreigners. And so the notion that somehow Trump is abnormal is flat out wrong, and it doesn't understand history.
ABC's Steve Roberts, after a late night. We appreciate your time, Steve. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Always happy to help you out. Take care now.
You too.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. My training helps me at work when I lead by example. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my community and those I care about safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Helping people and families seriously injured in accidents and standing up for victims to take the burden off their shoulders. WTMJ's Greg Matzik here. It's Gruber Law Offices. Make a call if you've been hurt in an accident, and Gruber will help you. You focus on healing, they'll focus on the legal aspect. Locally known and nationally recognized Gruber, they've been serving the people and state of Wisconsin for 40 years and giving back to the community all the while. Visit them at gruber-law.com. Learn more about the firm. Find out what they do in the community. You might even see David at a game or two. Give them a call if you need. It's 414-276-6666.
Vince Vitrano here for Connect Chiropractic. Numbness, tingling in the hands, arms, legs, feet. Time to go see Dr. Alex Young and my team at Connect Chiropractic. Regular chiropractic care can bring life-changing results for folks who suffer from neuropathy and fibromyalgia, nervous system issues that can be corrected, and no worries about twisting, cracking, or popping. The docs at Connect Chiro use all the same method, a special tool that is pain-free and effective for your adjustments. Visit them in Delafield and Wauwatosa or get started online at GoConnectChiro.com.
Hey, Wisconsin, it's Dave from Feldco. Did drafty windows make last winter frigid? Listen, Feldco's here to make things easier for you. It's the perfect time of year to replace those old windows. Right now, get 50% off windows plus no money down and no interest for 1 year. Visit us at 4feldco.com or give us a call at 866-4Feldco.
quality windows, siding, and doors. Call 866 for Feldco.
At Blaine's Farm and Fleet, we're the cold weather experts, offering unbeatable deals on the gear and supplies you need to get ready for winter. Like 30% off all zero exposure outerwear for the family. 50-foot yellow jacket extension cords are over half off, just $32.99. 15% off assorted Hillman hardware. And Red Devil caulk and construction adhesives, 20% off. Plus, check out unbeatable toy deals in Blaine's Farm and Fleet's Toyland, now open.
Find value at Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
Did your home suffer damage from a storm or severe weather? Don't stress any longer. Loyal Family Renovations treats all of its customers like they've joined their personal family, and every project as if the work was being done at their own house. Loyal Family Renovations has a leg up on the competition due to the personal relationships they've built with insurance adjusters over the years. Loyal Family is family-owned, and the loyalty belongs to their customers. Contact them today to get your free home inspection. LoyalFamilyRenovations.com.
Cloudy at 55 today, overnight low of 40. Sun comes back on Thursday with a high of 58, up to 60 on Friday. It's 50 and cloudy in Milwaukee at 12:54. We're wrapping up the program here. It's Wisconsin's Midday News. Greg and Jessica, Gina producing the program. I feel like we should ask our fans to grade our performance today. Off. I just felt like I just felt off. Not well rested right after a very late night last night, late for both of us. And I did not stay up to watch the rest of the coverage once I got home.
I did. It's hard for me to turn it off.
I'm going to bed. I'm exhausted. I was going to bed. So
I kept refreshing for Milwaukee numbers, too.
Yeah.
It was like 2:34. And I'm like, the last update was at 2:34. And then it was 3:30-ish. So I kept thinking on the hour. So I kept refresh. And then finally, I don't know, 3:41 something. I was like, I got to get to bed.
Like, I can't even make it through a Brewers game that starts at 9 o'clock anymore. I'm fading off in the fourth inning. I'm taping my eyelids back like Tom and Jerry cartoons.
See, the thing is, that's not my problem. Last night, like, I didn't need to go to bed at that time. When I was sitting there refreshing and I was watching all the coverage, it's just this morning you feel a little heavy in the eyes when you only get an hour and a half of sleep, right?
Well, thanks once again to Gina for caffeinating us throughout the program here today, and herself, by the way, with her tracheotomy. What was it called? What's the name of the size? Oh, Trenta.